Hey, good morning, afternoon, or evening, good people, wherever you are, wherever you happen to be, and however we're together. Thanks for being here. I'm Dave, and this is Dave's Head. So, what's in my head? I have this thing, right? I have this thing where I have these celebrity crushes, just a few crushes around the world, different people who affectionately I call my baby mamas. Um, it's some very playful, non-sexualized joke about a crush that I have, a celebrity crush, or two, or 15, whatever. But I got to check off a box since the last time we were together. I got to see Tamia as she performed in Baltimore, Maryland. She performed with Joe. Joe, he was all right. He was cool. But Tamia was there, and I got to myself, Mateo, one of my close friends, and his girlfriend or frat brother and soror, to be official. Um, we all went down. Well, we all met down there, had dinner, nice restaurant, um, and then went to the concert. Now, Joe opened up, did an amazing job. Not, I can't front. Listen, Mateo had a crush on Joe. I was there to see Tamia, but Joe brought me back, to the '90s. I'm a big '90s guy, big '90s R&B. Think it's a lost art. I complain about it and miss it all the time. But Joe brought us back. Joe, hit some of the classics, and he was great. He was good. He was good. The hype man, I don't know his name. I got to look it up. Whoever the hype man was between the sets, he had the place rocking and roll, cracking up, laughing, good. But I was there to see Tamia, and thankfully Grant Hill wasn't there. He could keep his butt somewhere else. I'm there to see Tamia, Tamia, me, her. That's it. But no, she performed a shorter set than Joe, I believe. I'm pretty sure that that's true, but um, she was amazing. Her voice sounds like it did 20 years ago. I don't understand how. There's some people who their voices over time it just matures, vocal pipes get tired, whatever the reason is, they sound different from when they first started. And as they perform live and they get older and older, they can't carry the same. They can sing, and they can entertain, but they can't hit the same notes in the same parts of the songs that you expect to hear on the album or hear them live. And I would say, with the exception of one time, there was one song, "Me," I believe it's called. To me, I didn't hit the note at the end. She didn't even try to hit the note. It just the way the song was choreographed and ended. It just kind of ended without that you know that me. I can't listen. I got allergies and I can't sing that well. Um, but no, it was a treat for me. Like, it was checking a box for a celebrity crush that I have, that a baby mama I got to see in person, and it was just something that another memory I'll cherish. Still looks great, still look good, like good. But um, I was happy to see Tamia. Nice venue, as well. Great seats. But like I said, it was a good time with the four of us that went down there. I stood a lot. I didn't have a lot of voice. That next morning, it wasn't that strong, just because you start putting them hits out there. I start singing, feeling like I'm the backup dancer and the backup singer. But it was a music. The music was a great time. It was a very, very great time. Nice throwback to pure vocals, pure lyrics, great arrangements, a beautiful show. Um, a lot of that's being missed today. Just I sound like the grays in my hair right now, but I miss the '90s music. The '90s music was inspirational, motivational, full of love, told stories. Now, granted, we had the R. Kellys too, who's doing all types of stuff, and the Drew Hills, and we had the Silks and the Keith Sweats and all that stuff, who wasn't motivational. They was trying to get freaky. They was trying to get nasty. I get it, but the Tamias and Joes, even the Joe, Joe had his little flirty, sexy songs too. But Joe was out there, kicking them bars. Kenny Lattimore from back then, may he rest in peace. Just I can go on and on and on. All the guys and women Filled my 90s tape decks, CD players, and all that stuff. So it was just amazing to experience, see to me that close. Yeah, I was satisfied. Next thing on my mind is something else I did, and this, April has been an incredibly busy month. It's still an incredibly busy month. There's something that's happening this weekend that I'm not sharing yet because this episode is dropping before it happens, and I'm kind of sworn to secrecy. Not sworn, but I'm told to keep it private until it actually happens. So I don't want to put it out there yet. But something that happened last week is, I come back from Baltimore right into the next thing, which is a guy's trip to Myrtle Beach. And so one of my closest best friends, his brother and his brother's friend, we all met down in Myrtle Beach, golfed, was it 6 rounds in 4 days, I think it was. Yeah, 6 rounds in 4 days. I'm tired. My foot's a little tender right now. If you remember, I had the foot injury thing last year. But we had a great trip. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful weather. Beautiful golf courses, with the exception of one that was a little dusty. But I performed pretty well, I think. I told you guys last year I started playing tournaments, trying to get my golf skill up to play in amateur tournaments. And so day one of our individual competition, because we had an individual competition for 3 rounds and then we had a team competition for the final round. And day one of the individual competition, I was just on fire, lacing shots left and right, hitting all my marks, teeing off, placing the ball, putting great, wound up leading after the first round. Second round was a little bit up and down. I had a 4-shot lead after the first round, wound up falling back a little bit, and so I wound up being tied after the second round. And then the third round, the wheels just fell off. I mean, just absolutely fell off. I think I wound up losing by 12 strokes. It just was bad. But it was a lesson learned. It was a lesson learned because, for the team round, I kind of started off continuing that bad trend, and then I finally just clicked in my head that, just play like you played the first round individual. Free yourself a little bit. And then I started playing like I normally want to play. But it was a good time. Great food. Went to a restaurant. I can't think of the name of it right now. I can just see the shark right now logo. Had this just beautiful filet. And I mean a beautiful filet that came out with this spicy moldy sauce. I just doused the whole thing. Normally I'm not a big dip your steak in sauce. The sauce should just be by itself. Amazing food. But I tasted his mole, had enough spice on it. I said the whole thing is going on top of the steak, and that's what I did. Myrtle is one of those places, bike weeks down there, black bike weeks down there. It's a great tourist destination, tons and tons of golf courses. It's one of the places that I've been with my golf club that I go to. I went down there for my what is it called? Bachelor party years ago. Took a bunch of fellows down with us. It's just one of those things that had a great time in Myrtle Beach. And every time I go to Myrtle Beach, I do something different. I eat somewhere new. I play a different golf course. Just because I don't want to do the same things every single time I go to places. 10 times, 11 times, 12 times I've been to Punta Cana. I try not to go to the exact same places as far as like eating and food, unless I'm at the same resort, and that's different. But I try to do something different at least every single time. But had a great time with the guys. We're thinking about next time, of course. We talked about Arizona, we talked about Florida, we talked about Atlanta. I like the Atlanta idea, by the way, just because I know too many people down there. I get to visit them and hang out with them and see them and do all that stuff, and golf, which will be amazing. So looking forward to doing that as well. Adapt to Adopt was created for adoptees to have a safe space to be themselves. They provide recreational support to adopted children and youth through recreational support groups, a mentoring program, sports and community service projects, and more. Tap in on Wednesdays for Adapt to Adopt's What's Up Wednesday video series, an informational check-in update video for their supporters. You can watch it on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. For more information, visit their website at www.adapttoadopt.org. The last thing that's on my mind is what's going on right now. Come back from Myrtle, feeling just love. I don't know if you can tell, I'm 3-4 shades darker. mainly because I did not wear a hat, and so I just got the full on glory of the sun for those 6 rounds of golf, with the exception maybe half of one round where I kind of had a hat on, then I took it off. But you come back, and this whole New York trial thing is taking place. I of all the cases that are currently against him, he's got the what's it called, the secret documents. He's got the election stuff in Georgia. I think he's got another something, whatever. This I think is actually the weakest case, the New York one, and this is the one where he's paying the lawyer this money, writing it off as lawyer fees. It was really not lawyer fees. It's really paying off a porn star that he had sex with while his wife was pregnant. And I think it's the weakest case because you need to connect the dots. And the best criminals out there, white collar criminals, know how to say, "I'll take care of it," or "let me know how it works out." And you know what they really mean. But they're not going to say what they really mean, because if they say it, they incriminate themselves. And they want the plausible deniability. I just told him to handle it. I didn't know he was going to do all this. And so you see the accent pop in there? That was kind of good. But I think it's the weakest case from a criminal. Because remember, this is a criminal case. This is I believe, a misdemeanor for tax or corporate, whatever it is, documentation, not filing it properly, not reporting it properly. But because it's part of conspiracy, it elevates to a felony. Yeah, I'm not a lawyer, not a law expert. But that's the gist of it. And so I think it's the weakest case because you got to connect the dots. You got to say, hey, this happened, and this payment was for this, and that payment was that. And they do have corroborating evidence. They do have corroborating witnesses. Their witnesses just aren't that credible. Because you got one witness, the former lawyer, who's already been convicted of perjury and blah, blah, blah. And you got another witness who is used to be a friend of Trump's, but now they're not friends anymore, and he took a plea deal for total immunity. So, there's always that cloud of, well, why'd you take immunity? But I do think it's the most damaging political-wise. And the reason I say that is Christians or so-called Christians in the country who call themselves Christians, if Trump is found guilty of this, and if the dots can be connected in the transcripts and the reporting and all that stuff, it puts a little bit of a cloud over Trump, right? You can't say that you're a Christian. You can't say that you're about America first. You can't say Team USA, USA, USA. It's about the country, not the person. And then to be supporting the person who cheated on his wife, got someone pregnant, grabbed women by grabbed them, slept with a porn star while his wife was pregnant. I think I said that wrong earlier. Slept with a porn star while his wife was pregnant, didn't get somebody pregnant. Did all these things, holds the Bible upside down, can't recite a verse in the Bible, but you as a Christian are saying you're voting for this guy because he's like you. Because that just doesn't jive. I think I saw his attorney in the opening statement said, basically, he's a father, a family man. He's just like you. This is wrong, persecution, blah, blah, blah. Well, if he's convicted and you're able to show it, because remember, I believe in this case it's not beyond a shadow of a doubt. I think civil is beyond a reasonable doubt, but I think this is beyond a shadow of a doubt, I believe. Could be backwards, could be wrong. Again, not a legal expert. But if this is all connected and all the evidence shows and the transcripts can prove and it's no way to deny he did this, he knew this, blah, blah, blah. It's hard to square with my Christian values, my America first, he's like me. Unless you really are just like him and you do the same criminal, dirty stuff. It's going to be interesting because there's still the Supreme Court case on immunity, presidential immunity. Because remember, Trump thinks presidents should be completely immune from everything, which is always interesting to me because if that's the case, then can Biden send a sniper to take out Trump and just say, hey, I'm immune? Or does it not work that way? What levels of immunity are we talking about here? Because Trump is saying absolute. Absolute means you can target your political opponents and you'd be immune from prosecution. I don't think that's what he really means. I don't think he wants to be shot in the head, right? So I think this needs to be clarified. Is it just the things that you're guilty of you want to be immune from? Or is there an actual template, process, bucket that this immunity water fits in? It'd be interesting to see. This trial should last, they said, about 6 weeks. So we're talking sometime in June. We'll know the answer to the question of innocent or guilt or mistrial, because there's always that possibility as well. But again, I think this is the weakest case. And so I think there's a possibility he could be found not guilty. And I think part of that reasoning for me, anyway, is the distrust in the justice system actually leveling justice. Because I don't have a lot of faith in the justice system to actually be blind and do what's right. Otherwise, Trump would have been arrested, been prosecuted. Just saying. But that's what's in my head. All right, so Comprehensive Behavioral Health Center published an article back in 2022 entitled Parenting Teens, Their Unique Struggles and How to Support Them. Now, the author, Tom Jenkins, talks in depth about the mental health side of teenage parenting, and he offered these 5 facts. Number one, parenting teens face a variety of stigmas that can lead to problems with mental and physical health. Number two, teen mothers are more likely to suffer abuse and deal with trauma. This may be the reason they have higher rates of PTSD and substance abuse. Number three, the mental health of young fathers has been on the decline recently. Stigmas may be the reason many young fathers don't seek help. The other side, just men generally, don't seek help as a norm. Number four, children born to teenage parents are more likely to suffer mental health issues, perform poorly in school, and become adolescent parents themselves. And number five, many programs designed to support adolescent parents are missing a mental health component. Programs that do address mental health issues tend to lead to more success. Now, he continues to talk about prevention and mental health support programs, and he listed the ways that they address the number of teen pregnancies and mental health issues as a result. Those programs do, respectively. He does note that mental health care or support is often missing from programs designed to support teenage mothers. And many of the programs focus on tangible career or life accomplishments like finding a job, finding housing. But if left unmet, those unfulfilled needs can lead to mental health and as well as physical health concerns in teenage parents. Now, I haven't talked about teenage pregnancy ever on the show, but I'm bringing it up because I want to introduce my guest for this episode, Hashondra. A little bit about her. She is a life consultant, author, and speaker, a co-owner of the Pink Group, interesting name, a branding and marketing team, the owner of Don't Overthink Me LLC. I do that a lot, overthinking, Capricorn, sorry. And the founder and president of the Manifest Deliverance Foundation, Inc. Through books, events, and music, Hashondra approaches the uncomfortable and relatable topics in an unbiased manner, capturing the hearts and minds of her audience, leaving each individual with life-changing tools on how to just be while unrambling themselves gracefully. So with that, welcome to Dave's Head. Hashondra, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Like I talked about before we started recording, I'm battling these allergies. The allergy monsters got me, but I'm fighting a good fight. Fighting a
Yes,
good
we're
fight.
here.
Yes, absolutely. Um, so before we get into it, I know I gave a brief intro of you, but as I like to do with my guests, I like to have them introduce themselves. So if you could take a moment, tell the people who you are, what you do, and what you're about.
Okay, well, those are, I guess, the accolades. I consider myself just to be a spark, that person who comes into the lives of others just to ignite or the fire that's already within. We all have our fires, and I just like to spark people. I like to encourage people, and in the process of doing that, I encourage myself. So it's kind of the fuel to my fire to fire other people's fuel.
Okay. So that's going to prompt me to what was going to absolutely be my last question, but I'm going to ask it first because on your site, the concept of being a spark struck me. It was the answer to who is Sandra. And I'll read the quote right from the site. The quote was this: I am a God lover, a believer, a mother, an embracer of love, a small business owner, a nonprofit founder, an author, a motivational speaker, an artist, and so much more. But more importantly, I am a spark, that person who comes into the lives of others to start or ignite the fire that lies within. I am Hashondra, a better Hashondra. The spark line kind of spoke to me. Talk about what that means to you to be a spark for someone. And if you could, talk about a fire you lit that you're most proud of.
So, just being a spark means being that person who you can sit in an atmosphere with and not be judged. You can be yourself, be allowed to be you, be allowed to become you, to explore you, in just a total safe place. So one thing that I like to provide for my clients or anybody that I work with, any platform that I'm on, is just a safe place to be who you are, even if you're not totally in an understanding position of understanding who you are, or in a position to understand who you are. You can still be who you are around me, and so that sparks people just to become. And so that's what I really like to do, just to allow people to become themselves without judgment and without manipulation. I know that sometimes as life coaches, leaders, spiritual leaders, we kind of just try to push people to become who we think they should be instead of allowing them to become who they are. And so just being in that, allowing that safe space really helps me to spark people. And I can say that I'm most proud of sparking my children. I have two girls. I have a 20-year-old, and I also have a 11-year-old who will be 12 in July. My 20-year-old just turned 20 in March. And so just sparking a fuel in them and allowing them a safe space in our home just to be who they are, to be creative. And they're totally different. They're totally opposite. One is just the entrepreneur spirit. She's fun. She's loving. That's my 11-year-old. And then my 20-year-old, she's more, passive, not very talkative, but she talks when she needs to. So just allowing them to be who they are and not comparing them as children, not comparing their routes. My youngest wanted to do the entrepreneur route. She does music, writes books as well. My oldest is in college and she wants to be, or she's going to be, let me correct myself because she will correct me. She's going to be a physical therapist. So I think that just being able to be a parent and spark my own children is just like the greatest accomplishment ever.
Okay. And yeah, she's going to stay on you. Speak that into existence. We're not doing maybes.
They will correct me quickly.
Yeah, there must be something in the water because I have to go back and watch like about 5 or 6 prior episodes. But I think every single time I've had a guest on that has children, they always have either all boys or all girls. There's not been a guest I've had in a while where there was a mix. It's just a weird phenomenon. I don't plan these things. It's just weird. Um, but just follow up on that. Would you agree that comfort is a great catalyst for progress? And just on the premise of what you do, would you agree that's a good statement?
It is because even with working with teens and young adults and even people that's elders, just being in a space that's comfortable allows them to just release what's going on inside of them. And if you don't get that opportunity to release, then it's hard to relax. But in order for you to release, you have to be in that comfortable space. And I don't know, when I was a child, there was things that I couldn't talk to my parents about or my grandparents about or siblings about, but there was somebody who I felt comfortable with talking to about particular topics. Even if I didn't talk to them about my whole life, I could sit there and be like, okay, I'm comfortable with talking to them about this because they're not going to be judgmental because either they've been through it or they understand it or they're just a compassionate person or they make me feel safe talking about this particular topic. So just being comfortable, I really think has a lot to do with personal growth, personal development, just your mental state and being able to release those things that we need to release in order for us to grow as individuals.
Gotcha. Now, normally I save books and talking about books for the end of my interview, but your story is so intertwined into your first book. Could you talk about your story and your experiences that are shared in your book, Attached?
So, Attached was my first book, written in 2017. I actually got up one night one early in the morning, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. And I just started writing. I was at a place in life where I was frustrated with love, just back and forth, just frustrated. So I talked about my journey of how I lost my virginity and the emotional issues that it caused in my life. And I know that usually when you talk about teen pregnancy and sex, you talk about, protection, the STDs, but no one had ever talked about the emotional trauma where it was relatable to me or presented to me as a teen. So that was something I just wanted to get out of me to release what was going on inside of me and also to educate others. But I never knew that when I wrote the first book that I would educate others on the level that I'm educating them now. That was just, not the hope. I always say that attached was for me, but unattached, the final season is for the world. But I basically take a journey of me as a teenager, and I'm telling my story, and I'm writing this book. I'm in my 20s, so I go back and I give my teenage self advice. And so it's basically me giving me advice at different stages in life. And then as I journey into Unattached the final season, I'm 36 and I'm looking back at the advice I gave myself in my 20s from the events that happened when I was a teenager. So it's just a revolving circle or cycle of me, growing in my mind.
Yeah. No, that's the concept sounds interesting just because there's a saying, if you could tell yourself something when you were 10 or go back 20 years and tell yourself something. And then there's the one that I see every once in a while, $1 million or go back 20 years and make all your choices again or something like that. But to actually write a book with that concept. And do you find that teens read your book more, adults read your book more, combination of the two?
I think that it's more of a combination. I think more of the teams that's read it are people who've been in a group circle with me or done, one on one with me. And I guess a blessing and a curse. I don't know who all have read the book, but most of the interaction that I have with adults, they're like, I'm going to let my team read this. And there's a journaling session in there as well. So once they get to the end of the chapter, there's a question they get to write and answer those questions and really be honest with themselves because it's their personal diary, because I'm telling them my personal diary through my story, really intimate facts, but put in a way where it's classy. Because, of course, with me losing my virginity, I talk about my first love. I talk about, the people who hurt me during that process. And then it was more the blame game in the attached versus unattached the final season. I started looking at myself and saying, that's the only person that I can change in this situation, or those were the changes that I had to make within me. I couldn't change other people's actions. So it's a whole growth process. But I would really say that more adults read the book and then it kind of goes down to teens unless it's in a teen setting.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about you being a teen and being a parent. What was the hardest part about being a teen parent?
The hardest part about being a teen parent was just giving up some of the things that I thought I wouldn't have to give up, like sports, giving up my sanity. Actually giving away my sanity, just really going through things that I should have been going through as a teenager, battling with adults. At that time, the person that I was with other people. So, just battling those things in my mind. But I can remember there was one story that I can remember. I had to go to the locker room because I played basketball. I had to go to the locker room and I had to get all of my stuff out of my locker, and I had to walk across the gym in front of everybody at basketball practice and get in the car because I couldn't play ball anymore because I was pregnant. And just giving up sports was something that was hard for me. Also, I was very active at church at that time, and I worked with the youth group. I had to give up my titles there.
So talk about living a mad life. What is mad life? And mad is all capital. So I'm curious about this. Talk about living a mad life and how that can change my audience's life.
Okay, so living a mad life means living a life with clarity in the mind that indicates or shows one's personal beliefs that's beneficial to yourself and others. So that's what living a mad life means. And so MAD is actually the foundation that I started about 8 years ago. July will be 8 years. And it's basically manifesting your deliverance, releasing, relaxing, receiving. And also our standards are freedom, diversity, and success. So it's something for everybody. Even though we center around 25 women, we have community events. We just had our family expo last Saturday. We invited the community out. We had a softball. We were all in our socks, dancing, playing games, and just having fun. So we have a real set out itinerary and programming that we go by. And it's just literally just being in a space of being yourself. Again, that safe place. So a lot of women who have become a part of MAD, because you have an option, they're not forced. You can be a supporter, you can be a member, you can be a Blue Heart member, means you really want to commit, or you could be a board member, which you have to be invited by the board to be a board member. So you have those four options. And so once you just become a part of MAD, we create a plan and you actually have control over that plan, but we just kind of help you through it, not pushing you too much, still encouraging you, but letting you make your own decisions, take your own journey, but giving you those resources and that support that you need. So with me, it's not about manipulation. It's not about, you can't force anybody to do anything, but saying, hey, if you really want to do this, this is a space you can do it in. We're healthy over here. You can be open over here. It doesn't matter if you're white or black. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. It doesn't matter if your sexuality or anything. This is a space where you can be you. And in that space, it also forces people to communicate with people they wouldn't normally communicate with. We have Christians, and then we have an atheist sitting here, and then we have somebody who's really heavy into spirituality. We have your financial advisors, and then you have the person who can't even spell a million, but they're all in the same room connecting with just wanting to be successful. So I love the diversity that we have in that.
I love the relax, release, renew. Right? Did I get that right?
Release, relax, receive.
Oh Lord. Release, relax, receive. Okay, butchered that one. All right. So release. So do it again. Release.
Release what you've been holding is what it
Hmm.
means. Relax in an environment of healthy mindset changes in order to receive all that life has to offer you. So
Now,
release, relax, receive.
release, relax, receive. I put it in my own order. That's probably what it was. Release, relax, receive. Okay. So talk about music. I'm a big music person. Love my jazz. Love my R&B. My '90s hip hop. I go back. Listen to the '70s, '60s music. I'm not a big fan of a lot of music today, but I think it's just the gray hair. I'm getting old. Things happen. Um, but talk about how music has helped you in your recovery, and talk about the genre of music if there's a specific genre that's helped you.
Music is my first love. I love music. I absolutely just can listen to music every day, and music has been my therapy. It's been my release. I can remember I was married for 5 years. I've been divorced for 6 years now. And I remember going through a period where I had to reestablish because when I left that marriage, I left with less than $40 in my bank account, my children, and my clothes. I was like, you can have it. I'm starting all the way over. And so finally, I went and lived with my mom for 6 months. And I remember I finally got my first place again. I was living in an apartment not too far from where I live now. And I was in the bathroom and I was like, you know what? I know what freedom feels like. I need to get into that headspace again, and I need to feel that freedom again. I need to be clear in my mind because I know what clarity feels like. So I started singing, just freestyling, and I said, "Take me back to a time when I was free in my mind." And it just the lyrics just start flowing, and that song I can listen to it now, and it's called Freedom. I can listen to it now, and I can still feel how I felt that day in the bathroom, just really wanting and desiring that freedom. So I think that without music, it would have been hard for me to heal in some areas. Um, Even now, just this, I'm sitting at my desk. I have a mic here, and I'll go into a program. I'll put on a beat, and if there's something going on within me, I'll just release through music, or I'll release through poetry, and I'll turn it into a song. So there's actually a soundtrack to the book as well, because I think that music is very powerful, just like words, with poetry, and that it can heal people. I was talking to my aunt this morning, and she said, "You need to start singing more because your voice is, so healing to people's souls." And I'm like, I don't have the best voice, but I do have a voice that you're going to hear.
Oh, okay.
You're going to hear this voice, and it's not when I say hear this voice, you're going to feel me. You're going to feel my pain. You're going to feel my happiness, whatever type of emotion that I feel. You're going to feel it through my lyrics and through my delivery. So I absolutely love music. It's an everyday task for me. And as far as what type of music I listen to, I am very diverse. I can say that personally, I have a bluesy type country vibe going on, real relaxed, soulful type music. But I listen to all type of music: rock, jazz, country, R&B, gospel. It's more the lyrics for me.
Hmm. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. If you want to, by the way, feel free to drop some bars anytime.
I can
But
rap too.
okay, listen. As I said, I'm like it's more like rap. But yeah, go ahead. Drop. You want freestyle? Go ahead. She's like no. But so no, I definitely appreciate the music being healing, being releasing. Because as I went through my divorce a couple years ago, and even through different aspects of my life, music has always been something I relied on. I mean, I remember listening to like the whole Frank Sinatra album, just the older style of music, the Sammy Davis Juniors, and then the Luther Vandrosses of the world. Or if you just want to, pick up an MJ album and just let it play all the way through, or Prince, depending on your taste. MJ versus Prince. I was there for that. But when you talk about music, you talk about singing. Um, have you found a point where there was some aspect of music that didn't work, and you had to find something else, or has music always
Absolutely.
been the constant fixer?
It hasn't been the constant fixer, but it has been helpful because after I release through music and I'm kind of relaxed, I always go to either meditation or sleep, or I kind of dive into another form of creativity. And I know sleep sounds weird. Everybody gives me that look. But sleep is very therapeutic after you've released. It gives your body time to rest, to just kind of renew itself. So when you wake up, even though it may not be a new day, it's a new day because it's a new opportunity for you to be great. So sometimes when I have a lot on me and I've done a lot of singing or rapping or poetry and creativity, I just find myself like, oh my God, I'm so tired. Now I'm going to lay down. And when I wake up, I just feel like a new person. I feel like that's kind of like my restart or my fresh start. So I would say meditation and creativity would be other things that I go towards when music's not working for me. And I can say that right now in life, I feel that I'm kind of leveling up in my spiritual journey and also in my mind. And I was just talking to someone last night and I was telling them I feel like what I've been doing is not completely working. It's taking me to, I'm being taken to another level. I'm discovering a different part of myself that I haven't walked in before, that I haven't seen before. So it's aggravating because those showers and the music and those things aren't working at times. And I find myself gravitating more towards silence and wanting to hear no sound at all. So, and that's making me sit with myself even more to take me to those deeper places. So I'm actually exploring with that right now.
Yeah, it's funny you say silence because silence is one of my go-tos. I'll literally just sit in silence. I'll sit on the couch. There'll be nothing on the TV, or I might have the TV on, but it's just muted. So it's still sort of stimuli as well. But I'll sit in silence, or I'll just go for a drive without music in the car. Driving is one of the things I love to do. The other thing is cooking. I'll turn up all my Echo Dots and all that stuff, all around, whole surround sound in the house, and blast some music and just cook. Cooking is one of my things, which is why I have to stay in shape because I eat too much. But talk about one of the things that I love about reading your profile is I'm big on paying it forward, mentoring, serving in roles that allow for me to exert a positive influence on youth. Um, One of the things I noticed is you have a topic of how to become a better example to our youth. Can you talk about that? How do we be better?
So one way that we can be better is simply to tell youth our stories. That is one thing I am really big on. I know that as an adult, I found out things about adults that I grew up with that I didn't know when I was a child. I think that if I would have knew those things, it would have made me feel more normal. And it also would have made me look at them differently and respect them more. So even with working with some of the youth, I always tell them, I said, I went to alternative school when I was in high school. I was like, I was one of those kids that wasn't bad, but I used to fight. You get in my face, we gonna duke it out. That's what we gonna do. It wasn't a lot of talking. You hit me, I'm gonna hit you back. That was my mentality. And I was known for fighting. I got kicked out of school for, there's a three strikes you're out, and I was sent to alternative school. So when they look at me now and I tell them, oh, well, I got kicked out of school, I was in alternative school just like you, or I had to go through some of the programs that you're in, they're looking at me like, what? But it puts them in a mind frame of relaxing and being more like, okay, well, if you can do it and you can come out of this mindset, then what can I do? So where it took me so many years to learn it because nobody told me or nobody showed me. I'm telling them when they're young, this is what you need to do now. These are the changes that you need to make now. But I'm in a more of a transparent state, not worried about being judged because I'm an adult and I don't want to tell them my story. So I just think that wisdom is important because that's what it is. Wisdom and lessons and telling your story to our younger generation will help our younger generation to understand that certain things that they're doing is normal. It's life. It's things that you're going to have to do. Talking back to your parents, I talk back to my parents. But what I needed to do, I did. I talk back to my parents at times.
Okay, that's
I
that's
had
that's
that
all
mouth.
you. That's all you.
I
My
had that
parents, my
mouth at
grandparents,
times.
they was quick with it. Just Listen.
Mine was too, but I was bold.
Mm,
I had some
mm,
bold moves. I was respectful, but if I needed to say something, I'll kind of say it, and then they would correct, because I had them don't play grandparents and mama too that would, get you. But I
mm,
would talk
mm,
back at times, and especially to adults that I didn't respect. But I
mm,
was telling them one thing about me talking back was because I wanted them to do what I wanted them to do, rather than me looking at myself. So I always let them know. I did a workshop called Me versus Me, talking to a group of young ladies. I'm like, you can't look at the external, you got to look at the internal. So instead of trying to correct adults, correct yourself. And even if the adult is totally wrong, still look at yourself, because this is the only person that you have control over. So that's one of the things that I just like to tell adults: tell your story. Let kids know, you had to figure it out too. Put them in an environment to know that life is always gonna life, but life is worth living. And so, that kind of instills to them that, okay, well, maybe I can do this too, or they did it, or this happened to me, especially with teen moms. This happened to me, this happened to you, but we gonna get through it. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah, I got a couple things queued up. So first, level up is one of my things I say all the time. It's one of the things I've experienced. So I'm big on the level up in life, and career, and family, and relationships. I feel like if you don't feel like you're excelling, then you need to level up. And that's part of the reason why relationships end, divorces happen, because you feel stagnant, or you feel that you're actually leveling down. Um, so I applaud you for that. Um, Second thing that's on my mind is, so when we first started recording, I had track star in my head for some reason. You look like you ran track, but you said basketball. But then we got to
I
fighting.
ran track too.
Okay, okay, because you gave me track. Um, but this fighting thing that that came out of nowhere, because you don't give me fighter. Um, but I'm glad you're past that phase now. All is better. Um, with the youth though, I one of the things I do when I speak, and I talk to youth all the time, is one of the things I very much am consciously doing is sharing my stories. Because you look at me, I walk in most of the time, I got a suit on, or a tie, shirt and tie, and you think, oh, here's just some other talking head who's got a successful life, but you have no idea the steps that had to be climbed, the falls that happened, the pain, the struggle, the sleepless nights, the tears, all that stuff. So um, very much a proponent of sharing a story, because some of the youth that I've personally mentored, even that I still do today, they were referred to me because we shared such similar stories that they had never heard before from anybody else. And once we had a conversation, they realized, wow, somebody else went through this too. So very much applaud that as well. Want to shift a little bit, because I'm always curious about this. I've gone from not eating meat for a while when I was playing college football, um, to now I eat everything. But why did you become a vegetarian, and how did that change your life? And I know I'm all over the place, but I just got these questions. When I read your profile, I'm like, there's so many questions I have from reading this profile. So this is another one. Why did you become a vegetarian? What was the choice around, and how has it impacted you?
So, choosing to become a vegetarian really happened on a spiritual journey for me. I remember I went and I was eating a triple bacon burger, and it
Yes,
was the last. It was the
I'm getting.
last taste of meat.
Just so you know, I'm getting Five Guys now for lunch just because you said that. It's
It was
your
just
fault.
a huge burger, and I remember eating it, and my chest was hurting. And this was right
Oh,
before like COVID started and everything. It was probably about 6 to 8 months before COVID started. And I was in the bathtub, and my chest started hurting, and I felt like I needed to stop eating meat. And I'm a believer, so I felt like my higher self or God basically was like, if you don't stop eating meat, you're gonna die. Like, you gotta quit. And I was just like, okay. And from that moment on, I honestly just stopped eating meat, because I felt like the way that my mind works, it kind of goes a little deeper, but the way that my mind works is, if there is an immediate demand from my spirit to do something, I stop, because I feel like if I don't, it's going to be death. So I make sure that I just went cold turkey and stopped eating meat. And then a person was placed in my life who was actually a vegan chef, who was able to, show me the ropes, and I worked with her and managed her for a few years. So I picked up a lot of tips, and that helped me on my journey as well. So that was the main reason, just of spirituality. Like I really felt like I was gonna die if I continued to eat meat because of my lifestyle. And I always tell people that's my story. You know, if meat is what's good for you, then you eat it. But for me, I haven't eaten meat in over 6 years now.
Hmm. Yeah, so when I went to college, this is back in excuse me, 90s, long time ago. When I went to college, I stopped eating red meat for about 3 years. So it was fish, chicken, fish, turkey, that type of stuff. And I came home. Originally from Philadelphia. Came home, visit one holiday break or long weekend, whatever it was, and the crew fellows went to get cheesesteaks, and there goes my diet. Haven't stopped since. But I did find that when I was not eating red meat, and granted, it may have been college football program, different workout regimen, all that stuff, but I felt extremely healthy. Um, and so I've considered, maybe going that route again. Just listen, I love my fish, so maybe not even, giving up all the stuff, fish, chicken, fish, turkey, but maybe the steaks, which I love steaks, and burgers, which I love burgers. But um, been thinking about it. So just, I'll share on social media if I happen to go that route. It's going to take a lot for me to switch out of the red meat though. Just to put it out there.
I lost a lot of weight too, and it helped with cholesterol issues. A lot of issues that run in my family I haven't had to deal with. Like my blood work is so I'm just so healthy. I'm really healthy when it comes to the numbers. And I used to be 200 pounds, so it really helps. Just making
Yeah.
those great eating choices or eating habits.
Yeah, I will say one thing, and it was sort of kind of related to COVID, just before actually, but it continued and got worse into COVID because we're just home and eating. I love cheese, specifically pepper jack cheese, cheddar cheese, and so I used to sit around and eat cheese sticks. Get a bunch, big pack from the store, just eating cheese sticks, sitting around drinking wine, cheese sticks, cheese sticks. COVID comes around, and this probably quadruples. And so I go to my doctor, get my annual blood work, and she says, "What the hell you been doing?" I'm like, "What do you mean? It's COVID. Sitting around, working out, sitting on the deck, getting sun, eating cheese, doing what? Eating cheese." She said to me, literally, "I've never seen your cholesterol this high before ever. So you can either give up the cheese, or I can put you on cholesterol meds." I'm not a big medicine person unless I'm like borderline dying. Um, and so I cut back on the cheese drastically. I still have my little moments, but I do like little small packets now as opposed to just eating five string cheeses at one time. um, so yeah, I'm willing to give it a try. I'm willing to see if I can cut out red meat for like a week or 2 weeks. We'll
It's
start.
not
We'll
that
start really
bad.
small.
There's so many substitutes. There's so many substitutes. I don't even miss meat like that at all.
Yeah, and I've had substitutes. My TO, she made me Impossible Burger. It was really, I mean, listen, it's all about seasoning. So that plant based stuff,
Hmm.
because it looks like gray rubber gym mats to me. But if you season it up, it can be pretty good.
Great
Uh,
rubber.
yeah, just listen. Don't get me started. Simple solutions for complex problems. For over 15 years, SRE Solutions has provided today's solution to prevent tomorrow's problem. SRE Solutions will provide you effective, efficient, robust, and reliable business intelligence, application and website design, wired and wireless network installation, PC support services, and much, much more. For more information, visit their website at www.sresolutions.org. That's www.sresolutions.org. All right, so that's the end of my Q&A segment with my guests. Now I want to move on to my favorite segment with my guests called First Thoughts, sponsored by SRE Solutions. Now, the way First Thoughts works, for those of you who have not tuned in before, as I always say, shame on you, but I'm happy you're here. I offer a word or a phrase to my guests to get their first thought. Obviously, I'm not privy to it because that would ruin the first thought. So, Hashondra, are you ready for First Thoughts?
I am ready. One word, right?
It could be one word, might be one word. No, you can elaborate as much as you want, but I'm going to give you one word or a phrase.
Okay.
So the first one we kind of talked about a little bit. We did touch on spirituality. So my first thought for you is faith. What's your first thought?
Faith is knowing God can because of what He's already done. That is my personal definition of faith. And as going when I was going through my spiritual journey, I went out to a pond one day, just needed to figure out what faith really meant to me because I'm really big on defining words, and that's what I got that day.
Okay. Next first thought, and we kind of touched on this as well, at least your frustration with it. Dating. What's your first thought?
Unnecessary. I think that dating sometimes can be a little unnecessary, but
Just right to
it's
marriage?
still necessary. I'm sorry.
Like arranged marriages? You just want to skip the dating part?
I'm almost there. I am almost starting
Uh,
to believe in arranged marriages. No, but on a
I was
serious
joking.
note,
I was seriously joking. But,
on a serious note, I think that sometimes dating can be just a little unnecessary. I think that friendship should be the foundation of everything, and that
mm,
maybe friendship should turn into a relationship to cut out the frustration and the aggravation of dating and understanding how to date in 2024. Because you have people who's dating multiple people, and you don't want to date multiple people. So I just feel like if a good, healthy friendship is built with an understanding and you want to maneuver into a relationship, then you date during that relationship. So for
mm.
me, it's unnecessary at this moment.
Yeah, I
Not
do
a
agree with that
popular,
part. No,
not
no, actually,
popular.
I agree that I think you should marry or date someone you consider a friend because there's a certain level of respect and commitment and just care and concern that comes from a
Mhm.
friendship that does not is not inherently there from just somebody you meet at a bar. Um, so no, I definitely agree with the friendship part. The arranged marriages, I don't know. That's a little, you know, a lot can go wrong there. That's all I'm saying. A lot can go wrong
A whole lot.
there. So last first thought. What is love? What's your first thought?
What is love? How I define love is only defined in that moment. So love is a lot of things,
Hmm.
but for me, love is so broad. First of all, so for me, I only can define love in that moment for what love needs to be. So the way that I love my children is not the way that I'm going to love my future spouse. The way that I love my friends is not the way that I'm going to love my the people that I work with or the people that I work for. So love is just what I need it to be in that moment, and that's how I define it.
Okay. So this season, I turned over the power of first thoughts to my guests in a segment I call TO First Thoughts. And so what that segment is I allow my guests to ask me something to get my first thought. So Hassandra, what's your first thought for me? A little scared. I don't know why.
So my first thought for you, um, teen pregnancy. What are
Teen
your thoughts?
pregnancy. I think I was really close to being a teen father. Not many people know that story. Um, there was someone I was in using quotes based on our previous conversation dating, um, who we had sex. We actually used a condom. Condom broke, and she wound up getting pregnant. But some medical thing happened where there was like a tube something pregnancy, and basically the baby was failed pretty fast. Um, but I was in I guess, in a mental maturity, if you will, state. Some would say you were having sex before marriage. That's not very mature. But I was in a position where I had shifted from, okay, got to finish school, but I got to make sure I got a family to take care of. I kind of shifted that focus before everything happened. But I also used to counsel youth back then about teen pregnancy, peer pressure, STDs, the like. It was after school program. It's my very first job, $20 an hour, um, as a first job. Interesting, but and so I was aware of a lot of the things going into that potential situation with teen pregnancy. I do think that there's a huge, huge problem of stigmas associated with teen pregnancies. Um, the maturity level of youth, I think, is far higher than it was before, and so youth understand the concept of sex at young ages. They understand what could happen, and there's a lot of youth that fall victim to their families rebelling against them because they got into a situation of pregnancy, as opposed to embracing them and saying, "Hey, you know what? You made a conscious choice. I'll be there to support you as my child or as my family member." Um, and then you put the social economic statuses around that as well. You don't have support of your family, you don't have support, or you don't have the foundation of the environment that you're trying to raise this child in. It really sets up a huge problem for not only those two parents, but the child coming into the world. Um, and so I think there needs to be more focus and total side conversation. Homelessness, veterans, they need support. I think teen pregnancies and teen adults, excuse me, need that same level of support that homeless veterans aren't getting as well. So that's my first thought. I've been kind of
Okay.
banking on the homeless vets thing for in my head for like 2 days, and so it just popped out. But I think there needs to be more support services. I think there's um, plenty of ways that the system and the government can find to take the child away. They can find ways to support as well.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to pin there. That's why I have developed my workshops. And I'm serious. A part of it is, a part of the long term goal is to actually receive government funding to fund those workshops so that I could do it in teen settings for free. So,
Hmm.
yes.
Okay. No, I wasn't expecting that. It was a great question though, because it got me to tell some truth that not a lot of people know about my childhood. Or not child. I wasn't a child. Young adult. Young adult. Okay. Well, Sandra, I do want to thank you for stepping to Dave's head, as I always do with my guests. Before I let you go, if there's anything you want to talk about or promote, feel free to do so now.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. I appreciate coming today, sharing a little bit of my story and a little bit about me. If you want to learn more about me, you can always go to my website, www.hashondra.me. And as I said, I am actually offering my workshops now called Unrambling Me, a Journey of Self-Discovery. So you can also be able to, you can book a workshop on the website. And I travel. I love to go around the world and just speak to individuals about discovering themselves and letting them know that it's okay to just be you. You are unique. You are an individual that only you can be. So you just have to make up your mind to be it.
All right. Any big travel plans coming up? Conferences, speaking engagements?
So not not so far. Not so far. I have a
Okay.
outing in Provincetown, but it's not for a workshop. It's for marketing and branding, and a few other trips, but they're not workshop centered. They're all marketing based. So
Ah, okay. Well, definitely check out the website. Thank you so much, Sandra, for stepping Dave's head, and have yourself a great rest of 2024.
you as well. Thank you.
My favorite segment of my podcast is my GRIN, which stands for Great Reason to Be in Love with Now. Ned, HelloNed.com, was created to, quote, help people feel better and live better through the powers of the natural world. In their lifestyle section, they have an article from 2024 entitled 10 Essential Life Lessons from Spring. They say that spring offers invaluable lessons on the cycle of life, the power of hope, and the vitalness of renewal. They list 10 things for, quote, for inspiration on embracing the season and everything it has to teach us. I'll go through those 10 really quickly. Number one, the cycle of life. They say spring is part of the natural cycle of life, representing birth, growth, and regeneration. It reminds us that change is inevitable and that the endings are often the prelude to new beginnings. Number two, hope and optimism. They say spring is a season of hope, signaling the end of darkness and the arrival of brighter days. It instills a sense of optimism and possibility, reminding us that even after the darkest of winters, there is always the promise of a new beginning. Number three, growth mindset, one of my favorites. They say spring instills a belief in the inherent potential for growth and renewal. Even after the harshest of winters, life finds a way to flourish. Spring teaches us to view challenges as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles for success. Number four, renewal and fresh beginnings. They say spring teaches us that renewal and fresh beginnings are always possible, no matter how bleak things may seem. I think I agree with that. Always believe. Number five, not my strongest suit, patience. They say spring unfolds gradually, reminding us that good things take time. Like waiting for seeds to sprout or flowers to bloom, patience is necessary for personal development and achieving our goals. something we talked about last episode. Spring teaches us to trust in the timing of life. One of my favorite lines. Number 6, adaptability. Very good at that. Spring weather can be unpredictable, with sudden changes from sunshine to showers. This teaches us the importance of adaptability and flexibility in navigating life's uncertainties. Learning to go with the flow. Very good at that. Learning to go with the flow and embrace change helps us navigate life's twists and turns with grace and resilience. Number 7, appreciation of beauty. Talked about that in the opening segment. Spring's beauty lies in its simplicity. The budding of flowers, the chirping of birds, the renewing of life. Number 8, nourishment. Spring teaches us the significance of nourishing ourselves holistically. Just as plants require water, sunlight, and nutrients to thrive, we need to practice self-care. I'll say that again. We need to practice self-care and nourish our bodies and minds with what we need to thrive. Number 9, mindfulness. Spring invites us to be fully present and attentive to the beauty and wonder of the natural world. Practicing mindfulness allows us to deepen our connection with ourselves and our surroundings, fostering inner peace and clarity. And lastly, which I think is one of the most important ones, practicing gratitude. They say spring invites us to cultivate gratitude for the gifts of life and nature. By acknowledging and appreciating the blessings around us, we can cultivate a positive outlook, resilience, and a deeper sense of fulfillment. So check that out on Ned or helloned.com. The article is entitled 10 Essential Life Lessons from Spring. If you're feeling a little down, scratch your throat like I am right now because of allergies, check out the website to see the positive sides and the things we can get from spring, the reminders that we may need to appreciate, and as number 10 said, have gratitude for spring. I want to thank Hashondra for stepping into Dave's head and dropping some knowledge about her past experiences, what she does now to support so many people in the mission and vision that she has moving forward. Wish her a ton of luck. Check out her website, www.don'toverthink.me, also Hashondra.me as the primary website. On social media, check out on Facebook /Hashondra, Instagram @unrambling.me. On LinkedIn, just look up Hashondra Jernigan Smith. And on YouTube @Hashondra. Check out her books. Both can be found on Amazon, Attached, and the second one, Unattached, the final season. Support our sponsors, SRE Solutions, Inc., for all your PC support, troubleshooting, antivirus removal, network runs, both wired and wireless, and so much more needs. Check them out at www.sresolutions.org. And also check out Adapt to Adopt for all your surrounding and information when it comes to adoption and so many needs of our youth out there today, and all the activities Adapt to Adopt in the Philadelphia area and so many other locations. Check them out at www.adapttoadopt.org. And if you're interested in sponsoring Dave's Head in Season 5 in 2024, reach out to me on any of my social media and we can make it happen. Lastly, this season, I'm going to leave you with a quote to cap each episode. In the spirit of springtime and so many things we've talked about in this GRIN with gratitude and appreciation and beauty, I found this quote from Rachel Carson. She says, "There is something infinitely healing in the repeated refrains of nature. The assurance that dawn comes after night and spring after winter." As we go through the many ups and downs in life, trials, tribulations, the good times, the great times, the happy times, the peaceful times, the down times, and even the depressed times, remember that every single thing we go through is a season. Whether it's a season of winter, a season of spring, a season in fall, or summer. Temporary. So appreciate the highs, learn from the lows, and don't dwell on them. Because everyone's spring is around the corner. So downtime. Got to do that. Self-discovery and peace. All great reasons to be in love with now. That's all for this episode of Dave's Head. New episodes release on the second and fourth Friday of the month. For all things Dave's Head, check out our website at daveshead.card.co. Subscribe to watch new episodes on YouTube or Spotify video, or to listen via your preferred podcast player, go to anchor.fm/Dave's Head Pod. Thank you for watching or listening. As always, enjoy life, because life should be fun. Take care.